Hey, Zane Griggs here. So, why I say low-fat diets don't work. And it's not just me. I didn't just make this stuff up. This is pretty well known. It just isn't getting out there, which is kind of upsetting, but that's why I'm here. So I'm helping you out. I'm letting you know there are people who know what they're talking about, PhDs, MDs, who know low-fat diets don't work. Okay, all that dogma for the last 50 years, it's wrong. It's bad science, based on bad science, and it's just gotten stuck out there. So why don't they work? Well, for starters, let's think about if you're cutting fat out of your diet, what are you replacing it with? What do you usually replace it with? You replace it with generally carbs. You might eat a little more protein, but for most of us, if we increase protein, we're going to increase fat too because fat goes with that protein naturally occurring in animals, wherever your fat from or your protein from is usually going to have some fat with it. But most of us are not going to eat a diet that's 60% protein, right? It's just not going to feel good. It's not going to taste good. You're probably going to be a little backed up. Not fun. Not fun. So you're probably going to eat a moderate amount of protein like most people do, especially if you're dieting. So most of your replacement of that fat is going to come from carbohydrates, and not the great carbohydrates, not the veggies, not the fibrous veggies and really heavy, like squash and stuff like that, and other, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. You're probably going to go for starchy stuff. Oh, there's no fat in it. Great. Rice has no fat, right? No, pasta has no fat. The bread's got no fat. And then you maybe reach for those nasty low-fat foods in the grocery store, which is just basically some food chemist's, experiment gone bad. It's crap. It's all screwed up. If you read the ingredients, what have they done to make that food even edible? They've replaced it with, usually, they've taken the fat out, they've added in some weird chemistry, some fillers to give it some texture, and some kind of extra carb, sugar, flavoring, sweetener, something to give it some flavor, because when you take fat out of food that's supposed to have fat in it, it doesn't taste good. It doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel right, there's nothing right about it. It's, like I said, it's a bad chemistry project, and you don't want that in your body. It's just not good for you. It's not helping you. It'd be one thing if you're buying a donut, okay, or you're buying your ice cream, or you're having a pizza. Oh, I know that's not going to help me lose weight, and that's probably not good for me to eat. So you're going to maybe, if you care, moderate how much you eat. But when you're buying a low-fat food and you've got this weird concept that is actually good for you, or that's helping you lose weight, you're not going to moderate so much. You're probably going to eat more of it, and somehow it's going to help you justify eating it. Yeah, it's not good. It's kind of upsetting. It's a little upsetting that food is actually out there in the name of health and weight loss. But I'm getting on a tangent. I'm getting on a soapbox. Don't want to do that. Let's keep you informed. Low-fat diet in general. What happens? You eat more carbs. So what happens? Insulin is released. That carb, especially if you're already a little overweight, you probably have some insulin resistance going on, which means that fuel is going to bypass your muscles. The muscle cells are insulin resistant. It's going to primarily go to the fat cells, so it's going to be stored in fat cells. Okay, so it's stored. So that food gets shuttled past muscle cells. So what happens? You have low energy, okay, and you're probably going to be hungry because the food that you're eating isn't getting to your organs and your muscle cells because of the insulin resistance and the insulin shutting that into fat stores. So what happens? Let's see, fuel not getting where the tissues were originated, needed to be. Okay? So what happens? You feel hungry. So you've got fat storage followed by hunger. So what do? You eat more of your low-fat diet. More carbs. A little more protein, more carbs. So you got this cycle of fat storage and hunger. Okay? So now let's back up. The idea behind a low-fat diet is that fat has more calories, right? Fat has 9 calories per gram. Carbs have 4 calories per gram. Okay? So if you eat less fat, supposedly you're going to eat fewer calories because, you're going to eat the same amount of, volume of food. It's just that fat has fewer calories. So you're going to eat fewer calories? Really? So let's think about this. You're eating more carbs. The fat storage all the fuel is driven to fat stores. You're hungry. Are you really going to eat less food just because you're eating, and fewer calories just because you're eating some carbs instead of fat? No, because you're stimulating hunger. Insulin drops when it does finally drop, or if it doesn't, you're either way, you're hungry, okay? Because that stimulates hunger. Your tissues are not being fed. Insulin causes your body to prefer, okay, to store the food you've eaten as fat, overfeeding your tissues. So you're creating hunger, you're creating an energy deficit, okay, for your muscles and tissues, so you're lethargic, okay? You don't want to move, you don't want to exercise, and you're hungry. You're hungry. So good luck with your calorie deficit if you're hungry and you're storing fat all the time. There's no calorie deficit. there's just surplus. You're just eating. You're on this cycle. So now you can argue. You can argue that say, well, look at bodybuilders. They're always low fat. And I talk to my bodybuilder friends and trainers who are all about that. And that's different. Do you really want to live like a bodybuilder? Okay, think about this. Think about fitness competitors, bodybuilders. What are they doing? First of all, they're lifting weights, usually at least 8 hours a week, and doing cardio. Okay, they're measuring everything they eat. They go through waves of growth and waves of diet where it's like they're really eating nothing. They're eating boiled chicken breast or possibly grilled turkey. Okay, turkey, grilled turkey or chicken breast. Okay, tuna out of the can. Okay, canned tuna, nasty. Nasty, canned tuna. No. Why do you want to live that way? Okay, these people do it for a reason. They have a purpose, they have a drive. They are working out multiple hours a day that most of us wouldn't even bother. Okay, and they're measuring everything, eating super low fat with, you know, some broccoli on the side. They might have a potato here and there. So even for them to eat carbs, first of all, their carbs are very, you know, they're not eating the honey roll, okay? They're not eating ice cream. That's a rare occasion. They're eating stuff that is kind of slower, lower glycemic. They're measuring it all. They're working out all the time. You don't want to live that way. Most of us won't. So and that's the only way. And their protein intake is super high, okay? So it's not a comparison to the average person. And if you have weight to lose, you need to back up. You need to lower your carb intake, regain your insulin sensitivity, and then and start burning fat, releasing fat, and have a normal life. Because I mean, let me face it. Look, I like fish. I put salmon in my salad, but you know what else goes in with that salmon? Olive oil, Parmesan cheese, avocado, wonderful fats that are good for us, that give me nutrients my body needs, those fats, and give me something to burn. And because I'm not stimulating insulin, that is not being shuttled out of my system, and I have more time to burn, okay? I have more time to, let me rephrase that. Because insulin is not shuttling out of my system, the fat stays in my system longer, okay? So I'm actually burning what I've eaten instead of storing it, and when I need more energy, the fat is releasing it. Okay, Allison, what is your question here? Really need your free diet? Well, it's free. I'll post it when I'm done. It's going to be in the comments, Allison. Okay, got it? All right. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. You're right. Not everybody realized what I said. Thanks for the pointer. It's going to be in the comments. I'll post the link in the comments when I'm done. Let the video post. It'll be there. But like I said, you got to prefer fat, okay, over carbs. Reduce the carbs. You'll burn the fat off and release fat from your stores so that you can start actually using it rather than hiding it away. So think about that. If you have any questions about this, please post them below. I'll answer them as soon as I'm done with this. And I'm happy to answer your questions. I understand this is confusing because of all the terrible mixed messages that we've been hearing for the last 50 years. It can be very frustrating, very confusing, and I'm just trying to help clear up that confusion and eliminate some of that frustration, because it's frustrating for me to hear people say this and be stuck with these ideas that are not helping them. These ideas about losing weight and eating healthier that are getting in the way. They're wrong, and they're just getting in the way of what they really want to do, which is eat healthy, their intention of improving their health. So, Amy, you're right. Sugar does make you fat. Fat doesn't make you fat. Sugar makes you fat. So it's absolutely true. Sugar causes the fat storage. Fat does not. So believe me, I'll answer your questions if you post them below. But just I'll post the free diet and workout plan in the comments. Grab it. It's free. And if you have questions about it, just message me. I'm happy to help. Talk to you later.